Hello and welcome. I'm the most famous newsreader on the ground, and actually on this ground, I'm the most famous newsreader. And I want to tell you today that Boris Johnson has ramped up a speculation that he is planning to bypass a law that stops the UK from crashing out of the EU without a deal. The Prime Minister told the BBC's the Andrew Murray show that Britain can still leave the bloc, and I'm an Italian ex-Prime Minister, and la terra da significante told the BBC's Andrew Murray show that he can still leave the bloc on the October the 31st, and despite the passing of the Bennett Act, which aims to prevent no deal Brexit by forcing him to ask Brussels for delay, and he also failed to deny holding talks with the EU heads of state to request that the bloc make any request for the Brexit, for Brexit extension. Despite the outrage this week after they repeatedly labeled the Bain Act the surrender bill, Johnson described himself as a model of I'm going to act as a Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, right now, because I'm changing rules very fast, just right on the way. And modal constraint in what has been described as an increasingly toxic political atmosphere during the interview on the Andrew Marr show on the first day of the Conservative Party conference in Manchester. Johnson also refused to apologise for using the word humbug in response to the MP Paula Sherriff's complaint that she has received death threats, claiming he had been discussing a different point on whether he had declared an interest when public money was given to the company run by his close Jennifer Arcuri. When he was mayor of London, he said he had acted with propriety. In a bullish performance, Johnson said repeatedly that the public are wary of Brexit and just want to get it done. The slogan of this year's autumn conference, he said that there was still a chance of reaching a deal with the EU, but the efforts were not helped by the Bain Act, which compels him to ask for the Brexit extension if he has not struck a deal by October 19th. He said obviously the chances of a deal or no deal depend very much on the common sense of our friends and partners. It has not been helped by the Surrender Act. I do think that there is a good chance of getting a deal, and we are working incredibly hard. We have been having conversations. We will continue to work tomorrow and in the course of the next few days. It's to see if we can get this thing over the little line, and there is a good chance. Asked if it was still possible to leave on October the 31st without a deal, he replied, "Of course we can." Asked about suggestions that the government could use EU law to supersede the Bain Act or use contingency powers, he said it was a hypothetical scenario that he would not discuss. Asked directly if he had spoken to any other EU heads of states and request that they veto an extension, including the right-wing Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, he said, "I'm certainly not now going into the discussion I'm having with the EU heads of state about the negotiations because they are interesting, but they are also delicate." However, he said it was clear that other EU countries do not want this thing to keep dragging on, despite an American parties suggesting that the U.S. Senate and the upper chamber, despite depicting himself as the man who can deliver Brexit, he ruled out the just quitting about to be forced into a delay. No, we have undertaken to lead my party and the country at a difficult time, and I'm going to continue to do that. I believe it's my responsibility to do that. He said that he could not discuss whether he had apologized to the Queen. Of the Supreme Court found that the prorogation of Parliament had been unlawful. After a week in which he was criticized for the use of the language around Brexit and his perceived dismissiveness, MP's complaints, Johnson remained unapologetic. He said, there was a cloud of indignation around the phrases such as the Surrender Bill, which he claimed was masking the legislation's true aim to keep the EU tied to the EU indefinitely. And military metaphors are old. Standard parliamentary terms, he said, according to that, they have been used for the centuries and should continue to be used. If you want to cannot use the metaphor like surrender to describe the Surrender Act, you are diminishing parliamentary debate, he said. He said the abuse female MPs had received was deplorable and that everyone should act more calmly in politics. Asked if that included him, he replied, I think I've been the model of restraint. He was not asked during the interview about a report on Sunday that he inappropriately squeezed the thigh of the Sunday Times journalist Charlotte Edwards during a private lunch almost 20 years ago when he was a contributor to the Spectator, which he edited. Edwards said another woman at the same time lunch said he had done the same to her. He faced a number of the questions about his relationship with a crony, an entrepreneur. He said to have had a close friendship with two and received public money for her business. When Johnson was mayor of London, she also attended official trade trips. The Prime Minister has been referred to the Independent Office.